Welcome to the Jon Paul Show, brought to you by the Ministry League. Also brought to you by the Piedmont Road Church of Christ in Marietta, Georgia, the Calhoun Church of Christ in Calhoun, Georgia, and also the LJ Church of Christ in LJ, Georgia.
Georgia is taking over, Paul.
Georgia seems to be taking over. So we are back. We're excited. We have a lot of things to share with you. Above all, ministryleague.com. Please go to the website, check that out, enjoy all the resources we have. Actually, just updated the app again over the last 24 hours, 48 hours. Thank you to Tyler Brassfield for that. A lot of neat things. Apple TV, if you do not have it, if you're not using the app, it is free. A lot of great things to go there. Caleb Sampson is here with us. My name is Paul Sperlin. I'm with Jon Podine. This is Jon Paul Show. Guys, what's up?
Paul, I hope that Caleb and you are having a great day. I hope everything is going well, because I just want everybody to know that the real reason I moved back to Georgia is here.
And so it begins.
And I just got everybody to know. So I did, everybody knows that, both of us moved to Georgia here, a couple months ago, a few months back.
Yes,
and so now, and so that was definitely one of the reasons I did move back. But the real reason I moved back opened last Monday or 2 Mondays ago in Calhoun. Landon, where are you at? Buc-ee's is here. I have my Buc-ee's coffee. I have my Buc-ee's gummy worms. I have my Buc-ee's almonds. I'm good, Paul. I'm good. We can do a show for 5 hours, especially with this coffee right now that I got going on. I'm good to go.
Well, the show will not be 5 hours. There is a lot else going on, and want to begin. And I guess I want to start. Now that you mentioned the Buc-ee's thing, I like to take sort of a time out for a minute as we start this and offer our condolences to the LJ Church of Christ. A couple of their members they've lost, and near and dear, obviously, to the heart of all of us, specifically to Caleb, because he's working there and dealing and ministering to those great families. So, and beyond that, COVID has rendered its head quite a bit again, and so we're dealing with it and we're adjusting with it. And unfortunately, we have experience dealing with it. And so let's stay positive and do what we can do to continue to see us through and get us through this time period for this. And looking forward to a lot of great things happening in this year and doing the best we can to get to it.
Hey, Paul, we are. And, that's one of the things, you talked about with the pandemic, with some of that stuff that's kind of started and come up that, as we continue dealing with COVID, and I know questions that have come up have dealt with, hey, what about exposure? Are y'all going forward? What are we doing? And Paul, would you like to give that announcement?
I will give that announcement. Yes.
Go ahead, Paul. I will let you do it.
Exposure Youth Camp, one of my favorite topics that I love talking about the most. Church work, the good work and the good folks here at Piedmont Road, and also Exposure Youth Camp. We are excited going forward. We are going to have Exposure Youth Camp. It's happening. We do not plan to use masks. We do plan to do a lot of things, and we are going to make arrangements. A lot of things could change, but right now we're on task and ready to go, and excited to see what this year brings forth for us, for this program, and for you. And I will say this, we have a record amount of people that are registering and are going to register who have signed up for the newsletter so that they will be able to receive information for Exposure Youth Camp. And Brandon, it's good to see you too.
Yeah, man, we got everybody joining us already. They're popping in.
It's cool. But yeah, exposure's happening, and we are excited about it. We speakers are lined up. Everything is good to go on that, and everything is going good. The schedule is set for getting up there and preparing and getting it ready. Registration does open on October the 15th. Changed this year, October 15th. Through November 15th, it closes. So we have those that time period, the last half of October, the first half of November, and that's it. And so I guess we can go through that. The first 2 weeks is 175. The last 2 weeks is 200, and anything after that, a late registration is 225. So try to go and get your stuff in, and let us know about that, Tracy. Yeah, we're excited that it's happening as well.
Man, it's going to be awesome, Paul. The fact that so many people have actually been reaching out. New people have been reaching out. Where was the one? You got an email the other day. New York. Yeah, that's right. New York State. New York.
Yeah, they used
State,
to live in Tennessee. They used to live in Tennessee. They used to go to church with Dale at Spring Hill, Spring Meadows, there at Spring Hill, Tennessee. And so that was that connection there. And he's bringing a group from New York City. And so we're pretty excited to have groups from afar. You know, we had Nebraska nailed down with McCook, Nebraska. And so now we're going all reaches of the United States. So it's going to be good.
Matt, it is your birthday.
Happy birthday.
Oh, man. My next door neighbor growing up, one of my, I guess, 2 or 3 FSU fans that I consider my friends.
Okay.
It is. Wow. Matt is, I won't say how old Matt is. He's not 50 yet. I will say that. So he's a spry looking 30. And so
happy birthday, Matt. So we continue in talking about Exposure Youth Camp and everything going with that. Don't forget about that registration. The process is the same. You're gonna send an email and get some stuff to us, and we're gonna reply you with a link to be able to do that registration. First 2 weeks that you register, you put your congregation in the pot to get in the embassy suites. The way that works is you register online with real names of real people, not the presidents, not the members of the Beatles, or any other group. You need to put the names of your kids and your adults. Make sure and put 1 adult per room for that. But also remember that after the 2 weeks, we'll draw that. But you have to have paid and registered to be put in the drawing for who goes into the embassy first for the draft and for that. So really exciting time. Speaking of draft, we'll get to that. We'll talk about fantasy football and some things like that, college football at the end of the show.
Well, we'll be talking about college football for all you FSU fans that are out there. We are going to talk about that. I know.
What is the FSU love?
I don't know.
Realize you're a big FSU fan, but
I am not. I have like 5 friends that I consider friends that are FSU fans.
I won't stop talking about FSU, so it's pretty cool.
No.
Enjoy it.
Brandon,
you be a part of it.
You definitely are, Brandon. Matt, high note.
Andrew
Itson and Andrew Jenkins. There you go. There's my 5 FSU friends.
All right. So that was your FSU minute. Now let's move on. My word. Okay.
No, that was horrible.
What have you been doing all summer?
I'm tired. I've been working, Paul. How about you? Summer's supposed to be a day where you can doing that. It's where his dad got his PhD. Well, that's what I've been working on right now, Brandon. So there you go. That's what I've been doing all summer besides getting here, and we're getting everything back in line here at Calhoun. Oh man, it's already started. Tracy's kicked in now.
Tracy Moore, I love you so much.
Can we get 30 minutes before we get to Alabama talk?
I gotta respond. I gotta say Roll Tide. He said Roll Tide. I'm not gonna be mean and rude.
I know. So Paul, what about you? What have you been doing all summer?
Well, we've been doing a little traveling with the youth group. Had a retreat, and they went to camp and did some other things. And we've also been developing some things we'll talk about as part of our show today.
Mm-hmm. No, somebody did not say Herschel Walker Jake.
I don't think so. I mean, he is one of the greatest running backs who ever lived. But
and yes, we do live in Georgia now.
He is here. So we'll get to all that. We'll get to all that for sure. And we can't wait. But this summer, we've been actually putting together here at Piedmont Road the rotation model stuff for our education, which kind of is, I guess, the segue. Was there anything else we needed to get to before we get into this?
No, because we're going to be talking way more about exposure coming up in the next
for sure. So the segue into what we want to talk about for the next few weeks anyway, is congregational education, spiritual education. Mm-hmm. I got to be honest with you, and I thought about how I would phrase this in coming here and talking about this today. But nice. Is the fact that before I came to Piedmont Road, I never once thought about being any kind of an education minister. I've always been around it. I've always had the chance of teaching young kids, teenagers, young adults, other adults. You say other adults, you don't say older adults. But
Yeah.
Anyway, the wisest of wise. And so I've had a chance to teach all. And obviously went to school, got a couple degrees, taught on the college level. And so kind of excited about that, but never thought I'd go into a situation to be responsible for education of a congregation. And it's kind of neat. It's kind of really neat, actually. The responsibility that you get to have to know that when a class is taught, that you're responsible for that subject and that topic, and choosing those teachers, and of course all this happening through the eldership and the elders here supporting me. But I do want to say something. I want to brag on my elders here at Piedmont Road. I have never, and I can say this, maybe this is sad, I don't know. I've never, we have 5 elders here, never worked at a church where all 5 elders are your top 5 options for teaching classes.
That's awesome.
I mean, that's pretty great.
Well, Paul, after all, I mean, one of the qualifications to be an elder is that they are apt to teach.
That is true.
Old King James.
You're right. And there is probably a difference in someone who is apt to teach and those who love to teach.
Yeah.
So maybe there's something to that, a discussion there on those qualifications.
Oh, wait, we're not doing an elder discussion today.
Well, sometime. But I'm just saying, these guys love it. They love being
Right.
for people. They love talking to people. They love teaching. And I'm just really excited that's my first 5 options are my elders. And it's
Absolutely.
just pretty neat. Pretty neat.
Well, Paul, the fact that you got elders that are taking the spiritual lead, and they're able, well, I guess maybe we should say this, they're able to take the spiritual lead because they have the knowledge and they're willing to be able to get up and talk and to be able to teach these things. That's what you want to see. That's what you need to have in an eldership to be able to lead the congregation.
Absolutely. And we have that in spades here. I'm pretty excited and hope that everyone else can say the same. If not, we study, we thrive and try to get there.
Yeah.
But we do have a lot of good teachers, a lot of great members here that love our education. And I do want to sort of step aside from this and start bragging on a different group of people. And that's all of our parents of our 0 to 5th grade kids. They are so together. They love each other. They love this church. They love the kids, all of them. And we have a pretty good group here. And also really appreciate Josh Zarnt, our deacon that works with that group, does a phenomenal job dealing with those kids and those parents and keeping that together and scheduling out activities and stuff. And they got an activity coming up the next few weeks. And he and his wife, Brooke, do a great work with that. And very appreciative for their efforts in that ministry as well. So it's a great group of people. And they've taken it on, and we started on Wednesday night, and it just kicked off. I was nervous as everything. I was apprehensive. I was anxious, and it felt like the first day of exposure. And I just thought, this is so neat. And we were even putting in name badges and lanyards. And
I was going to say, are y'all handing out T-shirts and lanyards and all that stuff? You getting food line set for the first night?
Yeah.
Well, Paul, why don't you tell us a little bit, take us through a little bit and tell us what you're meaning by how this education thing is doing? Because most people, I would think that when we have our education in our churches, it's something that we all know is important. And I'm not saying we don't spend enough time on it, because I do think we view that as, but every growing church that you and I have come across, they have a vibrant education department with their Bible classes. And especially, with youth ministry, within those younger classes that help build the youth ministry growing up. So why don't you explain to us a little bit about this program and how it's different than just, hey, you got 1st grade, you got 2nd grade, you got 3rd grade, or you combine these grades or whatever and have a class.
Well, like you say, there was a time where you would just give someone a book you'd order and say, you go take the 1st grade and teach this class for 13 weeks. And it's not a little different. It's a lot different the way this is set up. I didn't create it. I've literally worked on and written a few of the lessons, but honestly, we probably have gained a lot of this material over the past, I guess, 10, 15 years from other congregations that have done this in the past. And 2 of which are near and dear to my heart because I got family at both. And that's the Hartsville Church of Christ. When we were at University of Montgomery, you remember that? We implemented that at university, and we used the stuff that Hartzell had. And then when we moved to Palisades, we did the same thing. We brought the same stuff over and did that as well. So Hartzell had this program, worked on this program. Also, the Beltline Church of Christ, they're in Decatur, Alabama, also have used the same stuff, and they compile it. And then you got, I think it's Main Street in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, also has done this, and they used a lot of their stuff and compiled it with this. The Hoover Church, Oak Hill here in Rome, Georgia, and some other congregations. I think about 10, 15 congregations have compiled this material. And what it is, basically, you can, I guess, to make it simple, there's 30 documents, full-fledged documents, that give you different areas of how to teach the same Bible story. Mm-hmm. So you have a Bible story. Let's just say we're starting with the books of the Bible because we feel like that's where you start. You teach the books of the Bible, the purpose and the wherewithal and how that works. And then you get to the first story, which is the creation. And so we will take 3 weeks. That's what we do. It's different everywhere. We take 3 weeks here, starting this past Wednesday, and went through a Bible story. And they learned it in 3 different ways. We have 4 rooms set up for teaching, 4 rooms, 6 or 4. But we use three a night, or 3 a Sunday or Wednesday. And so right now we're doing art, we're doing games, and we're doing movies. In all 3 of the rooms, they're all basically teaching the same story. Right. They start by talking about the creation. They talk about the days of creation. They get through that. They talk about the wonder and the power and the might of God. And so they implement that, talk about that. There's a Bible verse for every week that we go through, and they memorize that verse and make it a part of what we do each week. And when you go into each individual room, you get that story, but then you sing a song, you say a prayer, and you say, okay, now let's get into our activity. And that could be creating something in art, but it may be a coloring page, depending on how young the children are. It could be making a log cabin out of sticks. I don't know, depending on what the story is, or an arc out of something, and they're creating something on their level, on their age level, what they can do. And so this is meant for kindergarten through 5th grade. And I realize some things are more challenging for kindergarten versus 5th. And so you split them into 3 groups and do it like that.
So how many weeks will they spend on one story? Because what you're doing, from an education side, you are reaching people on different levels. So sometimes people they're auditory, they get the lecture, go and listen to them. Some people have to work with their hands. I guess that's where the art comes in, and being kinetic and having some of this. And so you're finding different ways to be able to teach a story. So how many weeks do y'all spend on each story from people going from room to room?
We'll go 3 weeks on one story.
Okay.
Now, the way we do it is we will have 6 different teachers, but same story. So Wednesday, they'll do the story, and they're in art Wednesday. They're going to be art again on Sunday morning. And then the next Wednesday, they'll be in games. And that next Sunday, they'll be in games. The next week, they'll be in movies. And the week after that, they'll be in movies. Because it really impacts the story. You get it from a different teacher. You get a different view of how it's produced and done. And we go all the way through the Bible. So we start in Genesis, and we're going to go all the way through Revelation. And the big thing we try to impress upon our teachers is the importance of mentioning of Jesus, even through the Old Testament. Right. Because we're not going to have that New Testament stuff until we get to that point. And so it's important for them to know the thematic purpose of the fact that Jesus reigns supreme, and he is a part of everything that we do from the beginning of the world to heaven. And so that's important. So it takes 3 weeks to get through each story. So
what you're saying is, if I was a kindergarten, go back to my kindergarten days, and from kindergarten till I'm ready to get into the youth group, I guess y'all start your youth group at 6th grade, I will go through the entire Bible.
Yes.
Okay.
4 years.
4 years. 4 years to get through. Okay. So next question that I have with it, is this something that you do Sunday and Wednesday? Is it both days are incorporated into this, or is this something different?
No, same thing. They'll do the same thing Wednesday night as Sunday morning, but they'll be different teachers, like what I just said. Right. So you kind of get it in a different way of teaching, which impacts it even more. And the research says, it shows us the one and done, go to the next, is something that is okay, but the retention level of the information doesn't stay.
Well, and I think
We're
that's
going
one of
over
the
this.
challenges, and you know this from even getting in college and getting our degrees and different things like this. It's so much everybody's trying to throw the information out, and it's just basically you're sucking it all in and you're regurgitating it out, and it's
Mhm.
not really sticking. A lot of times, it doesn't really stick in there because you're just putting it out for a test. What you're saying here is you're using repetition, repetition, repetition
Mhm.
to build that foundation where it is in that short term and long term part of your memory, and that is there ingrained upon who they are.
Yeah, and it gives them an opportunity also to interact with the kids in their age group and with different teachers, and the outlook is so neat. We do start with a devotional from the beginning of class. Wednesday nights we're in the auditorium, but everybody's a part of it. So we'll have one of our K-5 kids will lead a song, and they'll lead a prayer, and they'll read the verse, and we'll all read the verse together, and then from there we'll have that prayer, and then we'll go. They'll put the guides will put the lanyards on them, and they'll head to class in the three groups, and we have kind of VBS type seating up front for them, and Wednesday nights that's how we do it. And Sunday morning we go straight to our cafe that we've converted downstairs in our area, and from there we'll have the same type devotional, and then go to classes there. That way they're all together, they see each other. We talk about the theme, what's happening for class that day, and then they start their expedition. We call it expedition. It's just the journey, and so the Piedmont Road expedition. So they go on their trip. So they have their passport that they have in their little travel deal. You know that we use those with London.
Yeah.
And so
we did, didn't we?
We did. And whenever they go to a class, when they finish a class, they get a stamp. They've been at this city or they've finished art. And then the next week, well, actually, if you think about it, if they go Wednesday, they won't need that stamp on Sunday because they've already been to that city. But the next time they'll get that other stamp. And then so many stamps gets them what we call PD bucks. Everybody knows about PD, or hopefully they do. And so we have money.
You don't need to talk to Jake.
Oh, Jake helped with that. Definitely brought that in and gave us the idea for that. In fact, he made the money. So I mean, he's just like, so he made that for us. And so when they do good things, they recite their memory verse. They bring a friend to church, and they're on time or come to class. They get a pity buck, and we have a marketplace that is set up to go and spend your money to be able to get stuff. Pencils, erasers, stickers, toys of all kinds. And it's there for that. But also, and first and foremost, is they get that opportunity to put that money in the plate. And we get with our parents and say, this is a chance to teach your kids how to give back to God.
Sure.
So it's a multifaceted opportunity to do this. I've been places where the store wasn't a part of it. The money wasn't a part of it. But I really think it's important to teach giving at that young age.
Well, I think, Paul, you have some videos of some of the rooms. To kind of show what they're set up like. Why don't we take some time to see a couple of those? I don't know if we can get through all of them or whatever, but to see kind of what we have set up here or what y'all are setting up in there. Because I've seen it. I guess I've seen it in use at one time at university through their faith university thing. And I know all the kids love it and they enjoy coming to Bible class. That's the thing I think that's interesting with it is that they look forward to this.
It attracts people.
Yes. And it's not like
kids.
Mom and Dad got to drag them out to get there. They're excited. They're ready to go. They get in the parking lot and they're running in. So I think we got some videos. I think, Caleb, if you can.
Well, keep in mind, these rooms I'm sitting in, we're going to be sitting in the game room first, the art room, and then the movie room. Keep in mind, these were tan painted walls with just static tables.
Gotcha.
Before. And everybody's that way. They set up their classrooms like classrooms.
Yeah.
They don't look like classrooms anymore, but you're still learning just as much or more. And it's more of an experience, which is a neat word. Let's use the word experience on that. Right. As we study and do that stuff as well.
Okay. Well, Caleb, go ahead and play those for us if you could.
Hello, everyone. My name is Paul Spurlin. I'm the Connections Minister for the Piedmont Road Church of Christ right here in Marietta, Georgia. I'm here with the Jon Paul Show, here to give you and introduce to you a new program we just kicked off just this past Wednesday night, which is called, here in our world, the Piedmont Road Expedition. And on this expedition, we're traveling through the Bible, starting in Genesis, going all the way to the end of the New Testament, and going Sunday morning, Wednesday night with a rotation model of classes. I know you've heard of it, and this is kind of what ours looks like. And so we kind of start in talking about these rooms, and then we're going to go 3 rooms today to share with you during the Jon Paul Show. So we start here in the game room. What we do is we take a Bible story from the beginning of the Bible and go all the way through, and take 3 weeks to study each story all the way through. And so we start with the books of the Bible. And so for the first 3 weeks, we're going to learn the books of the Bible through games, and then through other rooms we'll go to in just a little bit. But I want to sit with you and talk to you a little bit about how this works. Our curriculum is put together, and there's a lot of congregations across the Brotherhood that have done this, have compiled this, and if I listed the congregations that helped in putting this together, it would be here forever. But I want to say thank you to all those congregations that are working on this vigorously and updating it as we go. And so I really think that it's a great tool. It's a great thing. We make our curriculum available to our teachers through a computer here at the building, also through email, and also in printed copy. And what we do is make it available in classrooms and media centers, and even in the classrooms of these rooms, to have access to all the stuff for that. This program is kindergarten through 5th grade. And so it's a neat thing and kind of new to us here. And so that's what we do. So basically what a teacher will do is tell the Bible story. In this case, the first 3 weeks, they'll go through the books of the Bible. Or if it is a Bible story, they'll tell the story and go through the story. And after they go through the story, they'll use the benefit of the room to be able to share how that goes. And in this case, they will play games. And they will do that by learning the books of the Bible. In this case, it could be stacking cups with names of the books of the Bible on them. They have ping pong where they can go back and forth and say a book of the Bible as you go over the net. We have Connect 4, give you an idea of that. That whenever they say a book of the Bible, they can, drop a piece.
I'm so loud.
Connect 4. We have
Sorry.
other games on this other wall over here that people can use, that we have. A lot of things in the creativity of our teachers. The amount of information is vast, and the teacher gets to pick and choose what they want to use and what will work for that class. And then we'll have it in 3 different age groups. We'll start kindergarten, 1st grade, 2nd, 3rd, and then 4th and 5th. And you break it up according to the numbers of the kids in your class. So this is the game room. Let's go to the next one. The second of the 3 rooms we're going to talk to you about today as part of our show, the Jon Paul Show, is the art room. This room was painted white and paint splatters all over the place. Controlled environment. I assure you, some great adults here had the idea of doing this and did a phenomenal job on this in all of our rooms, honestly. I'm really excited about this. When you go to VBS, the rotation model is not VBS. Please know that. We'll talk more about that in the show. But when you go to VBS, it seems like the one thing the kids look the most forward to is craft time. What craft did you make? You come home from VBS, you ask your kids, what craft did you make? What did you do there? And then things like that happen. You go to camp. And then you heard about the illustrious, the infamous craft hut. And it's a highlight, really, of small kids and teenagers alike. They just want to enjoy the time to make something occasionally. Well, as the rotation model occurs and as it continues to this second classroom, the art studio, which we call it Studio 316, is the fact that they get to make things. So again, we share the story. And the first 3 weeks here, they're going to go over the books of the Bible. And they will create something to show and to demonstrate books of the Bible. Whether it's take little matchboxes and paint it all white or paint it a color and draw the name of the book on the front to represent this is a book of the Bible, and you put them in order. And so that they do things in an artistic type way on whatever level of child that is in this room. As I said, we have 3 different groups, kindergarten through 5th grade, that rotate through this on Sunday morning and Wednesday night. And they do this. And the same story, when you get into the story stuff, books of the Bible is the starting point, I think. And that's why we started with learning the books of the Bible the first 3 weeks as we start. And after this, we get into creation. And they're going to teach that class in games, in the art room in Studio 316, and also in the movie room. And of course, we'll get to that in just a few minutes. But right now, we're in what we call Studio 316. And they've done a really great job with it. We do. And I'm really thankful for our teachers for that, preparing that. And the big point of all this is with games, it's hand-eye coordination sometimes. With art, it's building something with your hands. It's creating something, being creative, using your mind, using your imagination, but also learning God's word while you're doing that. So you're adding different ways of teaching different things. Love to have you to come be a part of this and check it out. We conclude our tour of the Piedmont Road Church of Christ rotation model for our education for kindergarten through 5th grade right here in what we call the Olive Street Theater. That was actually the name of this congregation before it moved here to this location at Piedmont Road, and so we call it the Olive Street Theater. This is the movie room. This is where the Bible stories are taught, and we are talked about, and we pray and sing and do things. But then after that, we also show a movie. We show something that emphasizes that Bible story. And you know some of those things that you would see, Veggie Tales and other things like that. Some things you can Google, some things you don't. And you order and find and keep. We vet all of our movies that we see, we show, and make sure that it is approved and we can share that. Because sometimes people are visual learners. And so we want to make sure and have something for that as well. So as you see, we put lights up in here. We have different things that emphasize the movie theater room. We did put a brick wall in here. I thought it was kind of neat. I do want to say thank you to everybody who took part in putting things together and making this rotation model, this vision come true. And it's really gone very well. A big thanks to Piedmont Road congregation and our elders, for allowing us to do this. And it's pretty neat. We just started this past Wednesday night. My understanding is, and talking with folks, because that's what I do, is talk to people and try to figure things out. The kids loved it. The teachers enjoyed it. And there's a lot of dimensions of it. There's a lot of things that some congregations do, some don't. We do here what's called, we have the marketplace, which is like a general store. The marketplace is a place where the kids go and turn in their expedition money for stuff. We call it Petey Bucks. Hopefully you've heard of Petey and the character, the Muppet character that we have here at Piedmont Road. Petey and Monty and others. There are books for those as well. It's another podcast for another time. But we call them Petey Bucks. They're dollar bills that have Petey right on the front. And what's interesting is when a kid comes to class, they get a Petey Buck. And they bring a friend, they get 5 Petey Bucks, a $5 bill in Petey money. And they use that for 2 purposes. Number 1, and most important, they give back to God. They put this money in the plate. They put it where it goes to give back to God. We lean on our parents in teaching their kids that how to give back. And then outside of that, we have the store, the marketplace, where kids can go and they can buy pencils, erasers, stickers, toys, of all kinds, at a certain level to get there because of the money that they have earned through Bible class and through being here and doing things, participating in class, knowing your memory verse, and being helpful, bringing a friend and just participating, bringing your Bible, things like that to class. The big misconception is this is VBS. It is not. There's no VBS. You don't put the time and money and effort into this for a VBS because this is something we do all the time. We make this happen Sunday morning and Wednesday night. And so it's neat. You take a Bible story and you turn it into something that the kids can really put their hands on, put their mind to, and be creative about learning about God's Word. And it's a fun, easy, and just a really neat way of learning God's message. And the retention is incredible. The research has been done. This is the way to go if you want your young people, your children, to learn Bible stories. And Bible stories, true stories in the Bible that they will learn to and continue to retain throughout their entire life. It's a benefit. and we hope that you will come by. If you live in the Marietta area or anywhere north of Atlanta, come by and visit us. We'd love to have you to come be a part of this and check it out. If you're in town, you want to come by and check it out anyway, come by. Love to see you. Love to give you a tour and show you how this works and share this great tool that others have shared with us. And that's where it is. So as we continue to talk about this stuff on the Jon and Paul Show, I will throw all this back to Caleb, Jon, and Paul.
You threw it back to yourself, Paul.
I've never thrown something back to myself. My talent in turning a camera is not there, so I apologize. That's crazy.
It's not there, Paul. We're going to have to work on that.
God bless Caleb,
yeah.
the true producer of the show.
Yeah, we're going to have to work on that. I'm putting this up. I think Jackson's watching now,
Okay.
and he will.
So what do you think?
He will.
What do you think of the
I think it's great, Paul. I think what people get to see tonight is or today with what we were showing in there is the different concepts of how to learn and how to put it into when in education. You see this. You see this in our elementary schools. You get to see it, especially with Tyler, of different ways to help him learn with different things. We need to be doing this in the church too, and using look, you and I grew up on flannel graphs. And you know, we remember Paul or Zacchaeus being a little flannel graph guy going through there or whatever. It's okay. We can. Yeah, I just wanted to do that on the show once.
My flannel graphs didn't jump like that.
But I think that's what you can see. And so if you got some questions, I encourage you to reach out to Paul. Paul at I am a Pete. I can't remember which email you're using.
Ministryleague.com.
Ministryleague.com. Paul at ministryleague.com. You can call him. You can reach out to him at the Piedmont Road Church of Christ to be able to reach out to him and find out more about this. Sorry, the comment came through and I was just, yes, we are going to, Jackson. One of the guys who was in my youth group is now in charge of the food prep out there. We are going to do a live show from Buc-ee's. Paul, I'm getting Buc-ee's to sponsor us. If I got to go to Texas, I'm going to get Buc-ee's to sponsor us.
That'd be great. There was one room that I did not share that we haven't finished quite yet, the drama room, but we are working on that. And another room that is specifically for special needs children, and we'll share that next week. We
want to talk about that, probably even in a special show. That is a side of church. I don't know if we'll say church work, church education, that with more and more of people being diagnosed with that, we need to take that into consideration.
For
and
sure.
so I want us to talk about that in the future, definitely.
That'd be great. All right, Jon.
All right, Paul, I guess it's time to do our quick transition for those that are left to, I don't know what that was. But Paul, last time, 2021, wait, we are in 2021, 2020 college football year was different. It was different all around. We finally had it going through. Now it looks like we're here in 2021. Things are supposed to be normal, but in a year when things aren't normal, we had a lot of things keeping us busy, especially the last 2 months of the summer with college football.
Most definitely. Usually you're bored in the summertime when it comes to college football, but there was a lot going on.
Not if you're in the SEC.
I was about to say one conference got a little bit bigger, and all the others decided to get together and hang out. So
they did. I mean, Paul, I do want to ask you, because we have not got to talk about this on the show, on the show at all, is what are your thoughts of Oklahoma and Texas coming into the SEC? I know it says they're supposed to be here in 2025. Anybody in their right mind knows it's not going to be 2025. Most likely it's going to be 2022, or at least by 2023. It will not be 2025. I promise after this year, there are going to be so many hard feelings. The Big 12 is even going to say, get out. What do you think? What are your thoughts on expanding and adding in Texas and Oklahoma?
Honestly, I'm not really a big fan.
Really?
Not really. I mean, because I know we have Texas A&M, and sorry, I wasn't a big fan of them coming over either because it is called the SEC, Southeastern Conference.
We got Arkansas.
Yeah, they're kind of close though.
Missouri.
I mean, but they pulled away from that Midwest situation as well, and so it is what it is. Texas. I never thought I could see Oklahoma coming before Texas, but
Sure.
Texas with their Longhorn network, I thought they were going to show the SEC we're boss, but all they're saying is we're not making the money we can make unless we're in the SEC. So it's a money thing. It's a money choice. Obviously, that's what it all comes down to. But what I found more interesting than them coming to the SEC, and it is said in 2025, and I'm with you. I do think it's not going to happen then. I think that they're going to lose sponsors, and I think for their station, and I think they're going to get hate in traveling to those other schools, and so I think you're right. I think I'm more of a 2023 kind of guy. I think they'll give it 1 year and see what happens in the next year, but we'll see on that. But yeah, I definitely saw Oklahoma coming probably before Texas because of the Longhorn network and all that stuff going on. But the thing that gets me the most is when you get to Big Ten, Pac-12, and oh my word, help me.
Big 12?
10, Pac-12, and
Big 12, ACC,
12, no, the three, the alliance.
ACC.
No, they're not in that.
Yeah, the Big 10, ACC, and the Pac-12. They kind of made an agreement. Yeah, they're the ones who made the agreement, and they kind of left Big 12 out.
Okay, I thought it was a different way. Anyway, I just find it interesting that they're making each other promise each other that they won't leave the conference. They'll stay with us, and then we're going to all vote together. And so, they have to do something because the SEC is getting the powerhouses in, and all doing, especially bringing in your eight game playoff system now that they're wanting to do.
I don't think that will go through. I do not think that. I think that will be.
All you're doing is adding 4 more SEC teams to the backside of the season. Me.
I think that's exactly right. And Paul, you and I both know what this is about. You said it. It's about money. It's about the super conference idea. And fine, you're bringing Texas, that's a well-known brand. They may not be playing well on the football team. Oklahoma's one of the most well-known brands. They have been win the Big 12. Will they compete in the SEC? Sure, they'll compete in the SEC. Whether or not they're going to win, they're not going to win like they did in the Big 12. Nobody's winning like that. I mean, Alabama pretty much has a lock on things, and they have had a lock on things for years. And we're going to talk about that here in a little bit going into the season. But I think it's interesting. I think it's going to be interesting to see. Personally, what I wouldn't mind seeing is if kick a couple of other schools out in the SEC and then have it. And then you have these good teams that are just, you've got good football every week. And I think that's what we want to see.
To be honest, I think that Vanderbilt is kind of on the brink anyway. What was it, a couple of years ago, they were talking about shutting down the football program. So I can see if that happens, they'd be the first to go.
I think what we want, and I know this is opening weekend, and we will talk about Georgia, Clemson, Miami, Alabama here, Notre Dame, FSU in a second. We want those big games. We want to see those games. We don't want to see, yes, Florida's open with Florida Atlantic. That's okay. Auburn's opening with Akron. We don't want to see Auburn Akron. We don't want to see, because I was looking at go see Caitlin and go watch a game, maybe one of these games. The first 2 games for Auburn's Akron and Alabama State. I lived in Montgomery for all these years. How many times did we go see Alabama State play, Paul? And it was right next door.
No, not much.
I mean, none. So we want to see, yes, I want to see Alabama, Oklahoma play. I want to see Texas, Florida play. I want to see these things that take place. And so for that alone, I'm excited about it, but I agree with you. I understand what it's turned into.
I wonder if you're Steve Sarkisian, if when he took this job,
yeah,
he's like, it'd be great. I don't have to go like Pruitt and go stay in the conference. I can go somewhere else and be my own guy and do my own thing. And it's like, oh man,
yeah, yep.
I'm a former assistant of Saban. What's going to happen here? I mean, because So proof's in the pudding. So
proof's in the pudding. No.
Eventually it'll happen, but
it will happen. But no assistant coach has beaten Saban yet. That's been in there. So Paul, let's get into this because we're going to have a lot of talk about this SEC expansion. I think you're going to hear a lot about it this year because you're going to see some nasty hate with Texas and Oklahoma going to other places in Big 12. I think you'll see nasty hate, and you're going to hear the talk of the SEC even more. What are you most curious about this year in college football season?
I'm a little curious as to Bryce Young.
Yeah,
you know, the $1 million man, the $1 million 19-year-old. I'm a little worried because I know the hype is crazy for a guy that barely took snaps last year. When there was times he probably could have, and they didn't let him. Mac Jones and company pretty much destroyed most people they played, and yet Bryce Young, when he got in there, to me, wasn't very impressive. And I realized you had the whole year, you had all summer, you're getting into what we're now calling fall. Not fall yet, but we're talking about it. Is that he's ready and he's there and he's got the confidence and the NIL situation, and he's just, there's all these roadblocks in the way, and just give Saban another roadblock to have to deal with, and then he acts chill, but I can tell you he's not happy about it.
Yeah,
but that's my biggest thing. As a fan, I just want to see him be well and do well. Now, luckily, Alabama's defense is sick good this year, so I'm ready for just. And everybody's like, well, they've always been good. Well, we've always had questions, you know.
And last year wasn't as an Alabama defense as normal.
No, the last few years have
been
a few years.
Yeah,
guys that were supposed to be, you know, awesome aren't really doing it. And other guys are stepping up, which we appreciate. So we're there, and we got some people, Mechie and some other people that obviously did awesome last year that now get to show what they have because Deontay's not there and Waddle, and so we'll see on that. But outside of being a fan of Bama, I'm interested in the Mississippi factor. I know. I really want to see what's going to happen with Lane Kiffin versus the Pirate. Are they going to swap positions? Because last year I thought Lane Kiffin did pretty well.
I thought he did too.
You know, he took Bama down to the wire. I mean.
Took Florida. Hey, Florida was right there with them. Yeah, they took some big teams. And Paul, you're right. You know, there's a lot of question marks around Mike Leach because he talks so much and the things that he says. And, you know, they started out strong with that win against LSU. Of course, then we see that LSU really didn't turn out to be what LSU normally would have been. And then Mississippi State kind of took a plunge down.
They did. And they really have for the past 4 or 5 years now.
Yeah. Well, I got a couple of things. My couple of things that I'm looking forward to is, you know, Florida probably lost the most firepower it had since the Tebow years on offense this past year. How are they going to replace it? Is the defense, is Grantham with this – because, you know, that's what hurt Florida last year was their defense. Will Grantham be able to do it? Is Third and Grantham going to come back and every Gator fan going to want to choke him out before the season's over? Because we all still feel like he's really a Bulldog person at heart anyway. When he coached over there. I'm also curious. There's two other things I'm curious about. A&M just paid Jimbo Fisher $9 million a year, and they're claiming them are going to be the number 2 team in the West. What do you think about A&M coming into all this, and is Jimbo worth $9 million?
I think they're paying him because they do not want him to go anywhere. I think they see a future. Jimbo, and I'm sorry to compare this way, but this is kind of the way it goes.
No, Landon, no.
Landon's awesome. I think this is the way it goes. They're hoping that Jimbo's contract will outlast Saban's life and that he's here after that. Because let's just face it, it's going to be different in Tuscaloosa when Saban's not there. It's just,
It is.
Sorry. I mean, he's a great recruiter, and his presence means a lot. But I think Texas A&M feels like if they can keep the money in and stay winning, and if they can stay number 2 in the West for the duration, that they're gonna supersede that. And they've beat Bama before, though.
But can A&M stay number 2 in the West? I mean, now you got Texas coming in, and I don't care what anybody says. Texas is still the flagship Flagship. That probably didn't come out right.
No.
Flagship. Wonder how this has got to come through here. Hold on, let me. I'm looking at the thing going through.
I know
I'm
you
looking at the. It says Flagship. Okay, yeah, it came across on the closed captioning.
I'm good.
Can they stay it with Texas? Because Texas is that main university in the state. You got LSU. Is LSU really going to stay where they're at?
I'm not sure Texas has superseded that of Texas A&M.
You don't think so? I still think Texas is the flagship university for the state.
I think because, and this is why Texas is coming to the SEC, because you look at what's happened with Texas A&M coming to the SEC, they've spent more time in the top 10 than the Longhorns have. And it's because
that is true. No, that is true, especially since that is all taking place.
It's because of the attention they're getting. It's because of the recruiting they're able to get, because of where they go and who they play. And that is why Texas is coming to the SEC.
Well, and it will also depend on how the SEC sets up the conference. Are we going to go to 18 sides? Are we going to go to or are we going to go to these quads? These quads. Is Alabama and Auburn going to move to the east? I mean, you got all of these questions that are still going to come out to play. So we'll have to see how that plays out. And speaking of Auburn, with that, I'm curious to see what Brian Harson's going to pull out. I don't think he's going to be there long. I just do not. I don't think Auburn has the talent right now that they need to have in there to do anything. And I think, I mean, sorry, FSU fans, I look at this guy as like a Mike Norvell. I don't.
Well,
they're good for mid majors, but I don't. I mean, you're talking about.
If that's the case, I kind of hope he stays for a while. I think he'd be good.
Of course you do. Anyway, well, Paul, we got 3 games we need to talk about here coming down. These are the first 3 big games. I know Ohio State played last night. Tennessee played last night. Jackson, yes, we'll get you in there. Tennessee is decided to play football this year. They have decided that, so they won. Good job.
28-6 was that the final?
I don't know.
Congratulations. You allowed Bowling Green to score.
Yeah.
You couldn't get to 35.
Yeah,
That's all.
It was 28-6.
28-6. Of course, Caleb would know this.
Is that what I said? Did I say 26?
I'm not a Vols fan. My wife is.
No.
I said 28-6.
So you got Ohio State, Minnesota played last night. Hello, Ohio State. You're not what you used to be.
CBS Sports says that Ohio State had to rally to win that game.
Ooh.
Just saying.
Sorry, I was corrected. It's 38-6.
Oh, they scored again. My bad.
So Paul, let's get into these 3 games. I'll save the UA Miami game for last, since I'll let you get into that, and I'll definitely have something to say because I have 2 teams that I cannot stand that are playing on the main stage this week. Why don't we jump into, since we're living in Georgia, why don't we start with that UGA Georgia Clemson game, which I think honestly will be the best game of the weekend.
You're
that game.
Starting with a team that has probably the number 1 Heisman guy, and
how? No, he's done nothing
in the national championship in the Georgia Bulldogs. Why in the world do you start with the biggest game of this?
I think I see him, and maybe this is my UGA hate coming out here for a minute.
Probably because JT Daniels will be in New York when the series.
No,
over.
he will not.
Yes, he will. Yes, he will. Oh my word.
No, I think he's overhyped.
In a Christian way, Jon Paul, we should put down like lunch on it. I'm telling you, Daniels will be in New York.
We will see. What do you think going into this game with UGA and Clemson?
I think Clemson has an okay quarterback, a good quarterback. I do think Clemson has a good quarterback. Don't ask me to pronounce his last name. Ugalele. Yeah, I just you didn't ask me, but he's good. He's athletic. Last year, he did not show that he can put the ball on target. I know he's had a lot of time to get there, but they've lost a few pieces. Even the pieces they lost to graduation and to the draft are hurt, not playing now.
Right.
So I think that Clemson will have a good year. I think they'll probably end up winning the ACC. I think North Carolina will hopefully give them a run for their money. But I just don't think that Clemson beats Georgia. I just don't. I think JT Daniels is starting his campaign game 1.
In the words of Coach O, go Tigers. Wrong Tigers, but yes.
Good. Why do you pull for Tigers every time you turn around?
I do. I think, and I don't know. I guess we will see tomorrow to see what Georgia has.
Kirby Smart made a sacrifice last year by not putting JT Daniels out there as soon as he did. His dad specifically, you know this, specifically got on the radio and on television and said, "Thank you, Coach Smart, for not hurting my son and putting him out there before he needed to be." Yeah. I think Kirby knew what he had. He knew what's going to happen. He saw what he had. He did the best he can with what he had. But this year, I think he's ready. I think he's ready, and I think we need to start believing the hype. Sorry.
We'll see. We'll see if he's got it all around it. You got Georgia. I got Clemson in this game. So
wow.
So we will see how this pulls out. Notre Dame FSU, Paul. I don't think we'll disagree on this game.
Scores. We're just doing wins. Okay.
I don't know. What do you want to do? Scores? We can do scores.
I mean, Georgia Clemson.
See, that's absolutely, Landon. That's part of it too, because they do have some injuries coming out of camp.
Yeah, those things happen. But
yeah,
I'd go like a 38, 42, let's see, 42, 35 kind of thing. I think they beat them by 6 to 7.
I can see that. I think it's going to be like a 45, probably 38 game type of thing.
Yeah,
kind of like what you saw with Minnesota and Ohio State last night. I think that's what you're going to see out of a lot of these games in here. So Notre Dame FSU, Paul.
No doubt Notre Dame wins this game. Florida State's not back yet. I wish they were. I would love to say, I know you would hate to hear this, but I would love to say, I would love to say, I would almost pick anyone to beat Notre Dame. Almost. I would probably. Would I pull for Auburn? I don't know, but I would hope
you
that
would. You would. Caitlin would make
every
you
single
pull.
time. So
Caitlin would make you pull for Notre Dame. I mean, for
Auburn. I mean, let's go.
Yeah, She would make you pull for Auburn if you
no time for that.
But I think you're right. I think Notre Dame is Notre Dame. They're going to win some games. They're going to sit there. Right. They're going to win. They're going to win this game, and then somehow they're going to end up number 2 next week in the polls behind Alabama. And everybody's going to say, "Oh, because this was FSU." FSU is depleted. And what we saw this rebuild with Florida. It is not a year. It is not 2 years. You're talking 3 or 4 years to try to rebuild to get back into a place to be able to do it.
Yeah.
FSU looked like Florida did under McElwain and Muschamp at times. And that's where Florida State is. And
well, McElwain took Florida to 2 SEC championship
They had
games.
the defense from don't get me started. Offense was horrible. Offense was horrible. They just could stop everybody from scoring. But I think that FSU is going to take about and the FSU people need to stay with Norvell. They need to give him 2 or 3 years to build in there and not try to just get rid of him. I don't think this game is going to be close. I think Notre Dame is going to spank Florida State.
I agree. And I love Jake's comment that Rudy was offsides.
Was he, Jake? Was he really?
I think he probably was.
He did get the sack, though, in the movie. But actually, I think that's not actually a true story. I don't think that actually happened.
No, someone picked him up and threw him at somebody and knocked him down. That's what happened.
Oh, my word.
End of movie.
Oh, my word. So what's your score of the Notre Dame FSU game?
Oh, man, I wish I could say someone else win this game. I'm going to go like a 27-14 kind of thing.
Okay. I think it's going to be bigger. I think Notre Dame 35-10 type of thing. That's what I think. It's going to be something like that. And I just think – and FSU's going with 2 quarterbacks. So that's kind of what I see happening. What are you laughing at me for?
No, I'm not laughing at you.
You're laughing at Jake's?
I didn't say he wasn't real. I just said he was short. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Last game. Paul, I guess I'll go first on this one. Let you save that for your Alabama, Miami. This will be Miami will get their hype up for this. Then they're going to go on to lose about 7 games in a row here. Alabama over Miami all day, every day. Derek King, I think he's got a good talent. I don't think they got a good coaching staff. I don't think that they have a good the players in place to play Alabama in Alabama's backyard for the game. I think Miami comes out with hype in the first quarter, and then Alabama just puts them to sleep.
This is why I love you. This is why I love you, Daddy.
Why? Why are you loving me?
Because you just called Atlanta Alabama's backyard.
It is. What has it been doing? They've been sitting in the Mercedes-Benz or the Georgia Dome for the last 72 years playing in a game. They play there twice.
By the way, I'm sitting 20 minutes from Mercedes-Benz right now. If anybody has tickets you don't want to go.
And you're not going.
I'll volunteer. I'm there. Whatever.
So tell me your thoughts on this.
I really appreciate Derek King for all the things he said. It means a lot to me. I know Coach Saban, when he called and talked to me about it, he said it just does me just so much good to hear Derek King talk about how that they're going to beat us and they're going to. I think the word was stifle our offense and stop and run over our defense. So Derek King, thank you so much for stepping up to the plate and allowing Saban to reprint those words and put it all over our stinking and locker room. I am worried. I am going to be honest. I'm a little worried about Bryce Young because he's getting a lot of hype and a lot of money, and I feel like he does have the talent to do it. But as far as I'm concerned, he's still a freshman. I mean, and I just want to see him do well. He's got to show some stuff. I'm looking forward to it. Again, you're not going to see the passing yards or the touchdowns of a Tua or a Mac Jones. You're just not going to. Bryce Young will run that ball as much as he throws it. And
I agree. And that's what I think. And Saban will do that. If he gets down where he's struggling passing, he will look over there and be like, run the ball.
This will remind a lot of Bama fans of the Jalen Hurts years. Except I do think that Bryce will hit those targets better than Jalen ever did. Jalen was really good at the 10 yards and under, but I think Bryce definitely has a cannon. So it's going to be interesting to see. He has it. He has the best part of both Mac and Tua. It's just getting it together, getting that experience, and getting there. If we can get past this Miami game, I think we're looking pretty good for the year. But I think getting past this first one's it. Defense will be stifling. I think they will smother them. They'll allow some points, obviously. And so, I mean, I'm going to go. I mean, we're going to score some points too. I'd probably go like a 42-21 kind of thing.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-mm. Yeah.
I think it's another like 42-10.
I hope you're right.
No, I don't see Miami doing all of that. Speaking of trash talking and everything, what do you think about Spurrier's prediction already?
Yeah, no trash talk here. I'm sorry. What did he say? I don't know.
Oh, he was predicting that he thinks Florida can beat Alabama in the third game. So we'll talk about that in 3 weeks.
So here's something for the listening audience. Go ahead and put it in the show notes and let us know what you think. Me and Po9 are making some kind of a wager.
No, we're not.
We are. If it is in the picture of a Florida shirt, it must be blue. Okay. I used to wear orange ever in my life, but I do have an Alabama shirt, perfect for him, waiting for him to do that. But if y'all can think of something that we can do to, I mean.
We shall not do that.
Earlier, you brought up the overall coach. I mean,
I never said that. I've been telling you all. No. I told you all summer that Florida. I mean, I think Alabama's like a 2-touchdown favorite already on Florida.
I don't know why. I don't know why.
What do you mean you don't know why? Come on, quit being the fake, humble Alabama fan.
I'm not fake. I'm scared, and I don't like talking trash because it always comes back to get me. That's why I'm not doing it.
Oh,
Huge.
All right. Well, Paul.
Well, John, this has been the Jon Paul Show. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for Caleb Sampson for spending this 3 hours with us. We really appreciate it. Thank you for paying attention to the show, and hopefully all the things we shared as far as the education stuff is something that has helped you. If you have any more questions, more ideas or thoughts, please give us a ring, give us a holler, shoot me an email about this, Exposure Youth Camp, anything else we talked about. Love to talk to you about it at paul@ministryleague.com or john@ministryleague.com. This has been the Jon and Paul Show. Go to the website, ministryleague.com. We are on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, the website. It's all out there. Apple TV. We love you. Peace out. Have a great weekend. I hope that your team wins this weekend, unless you're Ryan Frederick. Have a great day. Love you, and God bless. And I love Ryan.